Full details of Pat Phelan's epic final week in Weatherfield. It's time to get excited and ready yourself for a week of mayhem and bloodshed as Pat Phelan returns to the street with a gun and vengeance. We start the week on Monday, which sees Gary Windass realize that serial-killing Phelan is alive and well at a caravan park in Abergele. Gary decides to take action and enlists the help of his friend Joe, and they let themselves into Pat's caravan and make themselves at home. A vicious baseball bat swinging fight ensues, with Joe managing to render the arch-villain unconscious. Phelan is then taken hostage by Gary and Joe as they return him to his former home on Coronation Street. He is then tied up and locked away in the builder's yard storeroom where he used to work. Sarah Platt gets the shock of her life when she discovers the triple killer is back on the street and plans what her next move should be. It's now Tuesday and Sarah is raging with Gary over his kidnapping and hostage-taking. She makes sure he knows what a risk he is taking and he could end up in prison for good. Not one to be subdued, Master Crim Phelan has already regained consciousness and is spoiling for revenge. Cheeky young Jack Webster lets himself into the builder's yard for a sneaky look around and discovers the wide-awake serial killer tied up and bound. Phelan then begins to convince Jack to locate some scissors and set him free to kill as his artistic heart desires. It's Wednesday and Phelan is now so desperate to escape he is prepared to part with £10 and pay savvy young Jack for his release. As Gary and Sarah return to the builder's yard, they find little Jack desperately struggling to free Pat and secure his Jane Austen AA serial number. Jack finally gets his beloved £10 when Gary and Sarah pay him some hush money to keep Phelan's imprisonment a secret. Phelan then turns verbally vicious as he begins to taunt Gary with sickening abuse about his mother Anna Windass. As Pat delights in Anna's false imprisonment at his hands, Gary finally can take no more and snaps. Pat takes a vicious physical attack from Gary as Sarah's stomach churns at the sight of her boyfriend turning into a violent animal. In a sudden shock moment, Phelan takes everyone by surprise as he throws a chair, barges into his builder's yard and grabs his loaded gun. It's Thursday and Eileen Grimshaw faces one of the darkest days of her life. Phelan is fueled with evil and rage as he turns the tables on Gary and Sarah at the builder's yard. Tying them both up, he heads off to deal with the real big boy business. The killer busks in his evil ways as he alpha males down the couple's gun in hand, ready to paint them red as he enters his old home at number 11. As Eileen and Nicola Rubenstein huddle in their home with Pat's newborn grandson, he cannot wait to meet the latest addition to his family. He gets so excited by the new arrival he sets off a few gunshots to celebrate. It's the Big Friday episode and fire and fury is unleashed. With a gunshot having just rung out of number 11, Phelan carries the blooded body of his latest victim into the bistro. He sadly has to interrupt the unhappy wedding of Robert Preston and Michelle Connor to show off his latest near-kill. The adrenaline is ramped up a notch as police swarm and surround the bistro. Excitement intensifies as the place is put on lockdown. Menacing bloodthirsty Pat goes in for another victim as he takes a hostage and locks himself in the kitchen. Demanding Ellie Neeson administer first aid, he threatens his hostage and the wedding-goers with a personal meeting with the Grim Reaper. Actor Connor McIntyre said of his character's return, "He has one thing on his mind, and that's to see his grandson. Woe betide anyone who stands in the way. Who will live and who will die? Will there be a massacre on the cobbles? What's your opinion on all the cobbles action? Leave a comment below." Thanks for watching SoapBuster, YouTube's daily soap news and spoilers show. Subscribe below for the next episode.